economy, abortion, the border, issues that matter to you. AZ's on the fence. Now here's your host, Drew Grunwald.
Now, welcome to AZ's on the Fence. Joining me today is Quanta Crews. She's representing Arizona District 26. You're an incumbent, so this is your first term, but I know you're also running for a second term. So what I would love to ask, Quante, first of all, welcome to the show. You represent District 26, which is Central, West Phoenix, and Glendale areas, correct?
Yes. Yep. Home to LD26, which spans from 19th Avenue to 55th Avenue. And then Van Buren is our southern border, and we go up to Peoria Ave.
There you go. Nice big district for you there, and West Side. So much growth and so much happening over there. It's exciting when I drive over to that side of town to see all of the entertainment. You're by trade a professional appraiser. Is that correct?
I am. Yep. I'm a real estate appraiser, and I started at the assessor's office actually, and I worked at the assessor's office doing commercial appraisals. I specifically worked on the industrial unit, doing industrial properties, but I've done some of everything. I used to teach classes at the Department of Revenue as an appraisal instructor. And then during the pandemic, I looked to the private sector because I had 3 boys at home. So I've been in the private sector. It'll be 3 years in just a little bit.
Yeah, fantastic, and good for you. I'm going to ask you. You have an interesting platform that I want to talk to in a minute. I also have a real estate background, so I want to ask you about that specifically, but I'll probably wait till the next segment. Right now, I want to give you an opportunity to tell me about a statement that you have on your website, and I love this. Okay, it says, "Our community's season of merely surviving has passed. It's time to establish policies and secure resources so we can all thrive." I love that. Would you expand on that for us and for your audience and tell them, what you have in mind as a representative and the things that you would like to try to accomplish so that we can all thrive?
Sure. I, like you said, I'm a real estate appraiser by trade, but I came out here to go to Grand Canyon, and I found myself struggling with the economy back then. 2006, no one's a stranger to what happened here back in the day. And I dabbled in multiple jobs like young people do. But one of my random jobs was working at a mortgage company in 2006, 2007, and just seeing how things worked internally. I was a receptionist, so I sat a lot, listened a lot to discussions around me. And I saw that there definitely were haves and have-nots. And there was also a lot of confusion on what was legal and what wasn't. And I saw a lot of discussions. And I also was able to see some ways where people's hands were tied. Like if you were looking to grow your investment portfolio with properties and things like that, there are things that are allowed. There are things that are not. And there are some things that we legally, people are held back from doing certain things. And what that means to me is equipping our community members with what they need. It's hard to be competitive in a global economy without proper training, without access to resources to start a business or sustain it. It's hard to thrive when we have bad actors setting rent at unreachable prices for folks. And we've seen that with Chris Mays's recent lawsuit against some bad actors. Not every landlord for sure, but definitely bad actors that were setting price setting way beyond the means of the average Arizonan. We've seen our rent has gone up 47%, but income has stayed stagnant. And we know you need 3 times the rent in order to qualify for a property, to rent a property. And we also, want people to be able to purchase homes. A lot of us, myself included, are just priced out. I couldn't wait to make, good money and to save and stuff. And the pandemic, I pulled my retirement out and I still couldn't purchase anything. And so I'm looking at, yeah, I had to put it back, but I tried to buy something, during the pandemic, and I just could not compete with the investors that were offering, 40,000 over asking price, and little old me, I just couldn't compete with that. And so, what that statement looks like to me is looking at the practical, common sense solutions that we can, that can help everyday people, about the things that I just described, educating the public on different trades that are out there. We grow up learning to go to college and be a lawyer or a doctor, but there are so many other areas that you could thrive in. Appraisal being one of them that I did never knew really what it was until I stumbled upon it, right? Working at that real estate, at that mortgage company. And so educating people on their options, and then empowering them to actually take advantage of the opportunities. Just because we know that something's there doesn't mean we can just readily, that we can actually go and get it. I had to go back to school to become an appraiser. Even after getting a college degree, I had to go back. And so, that's what that statement means. Looking at, these different things, some of the things that I've mentioned, and legislating, um, you know, common sense legislation, coming up with things that will help people and businesses so that we can compete. A lot of folks are making money in Arizona, but that doesn't mean it's getting to Arizonans. And so I want us to be competitive in this economy.
Excellent. And I know what you mean. You can go to real estate school and in 90 hours go pass a test and become a real estate agent. But to become an appraiser, it's a completely different, and it's all still real estate background. But to be an appraiser, let the audience know you have classes to take, and then you have to practice under somebody for what, 18 months or so? It's a long amount of time. Yeah, it takes a long time.
And we also have the same issue that a lot of other skilled trades have too, like home inspectors. When they are training you, they're training their competition essentially, because you have to be an apprentice. And then once you get your license, I mean, there's no reason to stay under someone when you could go do your own thing. You may have your own ideas or innovative ways that you could do things better, and you're going to want to start your own business. That's the whole point. But if you don't have someone to train you, let's say you money isn't a barrier for you and you take appraisal classes, you still have to find a supervisor. There's a spreadsheet on the Arizona Department of Financial Institutions website with every real estate appraiser, their phone number, business wise anyway, and all that. There's a directory. I called every name on that list during the pandemic and could not get someone to train me. Every name on that list. And I had a previous appraisal background because I did property tax assessment. So that is appraisal as well. I've taken both sets of classes. They're all the same to me. It's all appraisal. Just the question, the property and what type of value that's being defined is what's different, not the actual skill, because it's pretty much the same. But I couldn't find anyone. And so I'm thankful for me and a lot of other people. The appraisal bias conversation that is growing in appraisal and around this country prompted the Appraisal Institute to start what they call the Appraisal Diversity Initiative. And it does help minorities, people of color for sure, but it also looks at the age. So there's a lot of ADI scholars that are Caucasian of European descent that are younger. Because the other thing is appraisers, if they wanted to retire tomorrow, this whole industry would crash. Because the average age, they're all, I think the average age was like 62. And so they could retire at any moment. And so the Appraisal Diversity Initiative looks at training all of us and building a bench of appraisers that can uphold this industry, so that we can continue to buy homes and do all the things that we do. And so I'm so thankful for that program, because that's how I was able to get a supervisor, get a job that allowed me to work and train, which I'm very thankful to them for the opportunity. And and so that all stemmed out of that appraisal bias conversation, which needed to be had for sure. And I'm happy with what our industry is doing to combat that and to train a new generation of appraisers.
Yeah, it's fantastic and a great journey. Being an appraiser is very entrepreneurial. There is no guarantee of income. So you sacrificed a lot of time and money to get the education and training.
And it looks like it has paid off for you. What I really want to do is now follow that to your path to get into to become a public servant and be a representative for constituents in your district. What led you down the path to run for Arizona State Representative?
So I actually ran for school board in 2020. A lot of candidates were coming. It was a very competitive race. There were seven different candidates. Is everything okay?
Yes.
Oh, excellent. So there was about, I think, six candidates before I jumped in. And a gentleman knocked on my door like candidates do, and could not answer some basic questions that I had about African American children and their disproportionate suspension numbers, because that was something that was kind of concerning to me. And so he couldn't really talk about it. Someone else came and knocked on my door. That candidate couldn't talk about it either. And I said, you know what? I went on a drive to Vegas, and I drove back home, and I said, I'm going to go ahead and run just so I can, steer this conversation around criminalizing children's behavior, regardless of background. I think we look at kids and we expect them to be like many adults, but kids need to be trained and they need to be corrected and redirected. And I'm not saying you do that gently all the time, because there are times that kids definitely need a more stern approach. But knowing that they're little people, they're little humans that are growing. And so I ran for school board. I did not get elected. But it was an awesome, fun run. I loved that it was bipartisan. I got to talk to everybody, and it really just jump started my quest to get more formally involved in politics. And so I ran for school board in 2020, and then I got educated about the Democratic Party, which I've been a member of for years. And I just started getting active in the party. I got elected as a PC, as a precinct committeeman. I'm a state committee in-person member, and I just got involved in the party. And so once Raquel Taran stepped down from the Senate and opened up a vacancy, I went for both the Senate seat and the House seat and was appointed last June.
Excellent. So you were appointed to this position you currently hold. I know we had some redistricting and some things changed. So you were appointed to this position, and now you're actually running a campaign to be elected for a second term. So good luck on that. We're going to take a break here in just a second. I want to let the audience know that we have Quanta Crews from Arizona District 26 with me on the fence here for AZ's On the Fence show today. And we will be right back after this message.
At A2 Luxury Real Estate, we're not your typical real estate agents. We're appraisers, finance professionals, and savvy real estate investors. Whether it's determining the right selling price, connecting you with local and global buyers, or guiding you through all aspects of the sale, we are your partners every step of the way. We're passionate about real estate, and we know luxury. The pinnacle of luxury starts with A2 Luxury Real Estate. Visit us at a2luxre.com or call 602-888-1433. Realty One Group.
And welcome back to AZ's On the Fence. I'm your host, Drew Grunwald. Joining me this segment is Quanta Crews, representative Arizona District 26, currently an incumbent and running for a second term. I believe you are on the ballot for the primary, and that is July 30th. Somebody else that I was interviewing last week mentioned that July 30th is a pretty important date, especially in your district, because whoever basically gets voted and makes it past the primary will probably be on the ballot unopposed. So if you want a specific representative to be on the November ballot, you need to go out and vote July 30th to make sure your candidate is on that ballot in November. So very important date for folks, especially on the west side districts, to get out July 30th and vote for those candidates so that they make it to the November election. And good luck to you in your campaign and your race, and we hope that your constituents get out and vote for you and you make it to the November election. I'm sure you have, since you've been appointed and you're in the seat and you're doing some things now. In a minute, I'm going to ask you what are some of the things you've accomplished. But I'm super excited to ask you about property taxes. You are working on some local and national property tax policy. I would like to know what you're working on. As property owner myself, property taxes are part of it. And for those who are interested in buying homes someday, maybe they're not that familiar with or even knew that there were property taxes they have to pay if they own a home. So I'm going to turn it over to you. Share with the audience all of your experience and any policies that you're trying to put in place. Would love to hear about it.
Sure, sure. Property taxes is the oldest tax that we have. In Arizona, it's what we would call king tax. So before we had income tax and all that, we only had property tax. Because that was the way Arizona was funded, the state government was funded. Our property tax is a big deal here, and it's actually micromanaged in the statute. And people have heard me say that a lot before. Property taxes in Arizona is micromanaged. I got comfortable with statutes and with the legislature because I had to. Every time the legislature changes a statute or a law related to property taxes, it directly impacts our work and how we do things and what we're allowed to do. And so I learned about the legislature and how to read and study and work out policy through the assessor's office and the Department of Revenue because I had to keep my job. And no one wants to be the reason why the state or the county gets sued for not doing what you're supposed to do. So, and I love that about Arizona. We have a lot of protections for Arizona property owners in the statutes because, like I said, it was such a big deal. If you own a home in Arizona, and you own a land of any land, even vacant land, you definitely are a property tax payer. If you have a mobile home or a manufactured home, you definitely pay property taxes in Arizona. And I will say that if you are a renter, you are definitely paying property tax in Arizona because as the property tax goes up on whatever the property that you're renting, that owner is definitely going to pass that increase on to you so that you can pay it. And so you're also paying property taxes. Our property taxes go towards funding government, part of the budget. It goes to repairing roads, making sure when we need new development areas and we need new sidewalks or we need to repair traffic lights. All these things come through, property tax budgets and things like that. We also fund our schools. Part of our schools is funded. Their school funding comes from property taxes. When we have bonds, the property tax is used in order to develop the assessment for that. And so property taxes in Arizona is done primarily at the county level. And like I said, it impacts every aspect of our lives. The property tax policy that I am really passionate about is more geared towards, of course, increasing opportunity for appraisers because we need more appraisers. Maricopa County is one of the largest counties. We have over 1 million parcels and 90 appraisers last time I checked. So we definitely need more staff in order to make sure things are done right. What we have a saying in property tax that property taxes should be fair and equitable. And I believe that with all my heart. I believe that someone who has a home that is 1,000 square feet should be paying something that is fair. And that someone who owns a home that's 3,000 square feet, everything goes by size and quality. And so that's kind of how we assess things here. Um, I'm really looking at keeping folks in their homes and fair legislation. So there was a bill. It wasn't introduced by me, but I definitely supported it on the Ways and Means Committee. And I don't think we spoke about that yet. I sit on the Ways and Means Committee, and I'm also the ranking Democrat for the Regulatory Affairs Committee. The Ways and Means Committee is what I call the tax committee. We deal with all things taxes, which was actually great for me because I can actually get some things done. We passed a law that will give salvage value to properties. So if a home burns down or it gets to a state of disrepair, there's kind of like I won't say a break, but we adjust the property tax until they repair it and it's back up to speed. And Maricopa County was already doing that, but other counties around the state were not. And so now we have a law in the books that allows the assessors to salvage a property if that really is the state that it's in, and give that owner a break. I'm also interested in like I said, making things more fair. One thing I want your listeners to know about property taxes is that businesses pay property taxes as well. So since 2005, and I'll make this as simple as possible because I don't want to get in the weeds. In 2005, the corporate property tax assessment ratio, and I know that's a lot, but just know the ratio that they paid, that businesses paid, corporations paid, was 28%. Now, in 2024, they're paying 16%. In 2005, homeowners were paying a 10% ratio. And in 2024, homeowners are still paying a 10% ratio. What am I saying here? When you go to a restaurant and all your friends are eating, right? Everyone has what they ordered and they have to pay their share of the bill. If someone doesn't pay their share, or they say, oh, I don't like, the service, and so I'm only paying for my burger and not the fries, there's still a bill that has to be paid. And so the fries that the corporations are not paying for, that difference of 10%, is being paid by homeowners because they're the second largest base. And so the bill that the government entities have to pay does not change. The bill is the same. The proportion of the bill that is paid depends on that ratio. And so homeowners are just assuming these cuts for corporations. And I do think that's something important to mention. And I'm not saying that we should just keep taxing corporations or businesses, but I do think that there's a problem with Intel's corporation tax ratio being, 16% and yours being 10. Very inequitable.
Yeah, I mean, and the commercial properties, and you work for the assessor's department, and so a lot of the property tax is based on the value of the property. So a lot of commercial properties are also more expensive properties,
They
I
are.
guess, and they generate
Hmm.
income. So they're certainly in a position to pay a property tax at probably a different rate than a homeowner
Yes.
would, as you might expect. And I think it's some good news for property owners. I thought I read just yesterday that Arizona is cutting property taxes, at least residential, for their fourth year in a row. Is that true?
It is, and that has been some work that's done
Fantastic.
by Eddie Cook, the current assessor, I believe. And it's a number of things. Some of it has to do with we increase the number of people paying. So one of the things is that helps like offset it is the fact that we are constantly building, right? And so now there's more people who can pay a part of the bill. So that also is a
Yeah.
big part of it. But I also have heard of some of the reforms that he has done that has lowered some of the property tax bills for sure. Now, I don't know the inner workings because I don't work there anymore, but I just hope that that is done in an equitable way, and that it's justified. Because to me, if the corporations are paying less and the homeowners are paying less, I don't know. Something about the equation is not adding up for me. But I won't bore your neighbors with my nerd, I mean your listeners with my nerdy property tax policy mind here. But I did read the same article that you did, and I was very curious about how that
Sure. Well,
works.
and assuming, like you said, more people moving to Arizona means more houses being built, means more people paying taxes. If the Arizona
Hmm.
government has $1 trillion budget, and that's all they need to make the state work, and they're currently collecting 1.2 trillion, then maybe they can reduce the property taxes across the board because they only need a
Absolutely.
trillion. So I don't know
Absolutely.
what the number is, right?
Exactly. Well, and that's the way but that's the way it's supposed to work, right? That is the way it should work. It should be fair and equitable, and we should not be taxing more than what's justified. And I definitely agree with that. I think that we need to look at other ways of bringing in revenue because Arizonans, a lot of us are hurting.
Right. You have seniors, veterans, and disabled people really in your heart. And I know part of your platform with your campaign and candidacy is making sure that seniors, veterans, and disabled are not going to lose their homes, that there are programs and or some other kinds of benefits out there to help them keep their homes. For the listeners who want to find out more about your campaign and more about you, Quanta Crews, what is the best way for them to find out about you, get a hold of you, or possibly donate to your campaign?
Oh, sure. So my name is Quante, and my website is Quante for AZ.com, and I'll spell that phonetically because I know it's a little different. It's Q as in Queen, U as in Umbrella, A as in Apple, N as in Nancy, T as in Tom, A as in Apple, FORAZ.com. They can also follow me on all social media platforms. Quante for AZ is my handle on everything.
And that's our show for today. I'd like to thank our guests, Senator Ken Bennett and Representative Quanta Crews. Good luck to them in their campaigns and the upcoming elections. You're listening to AZ's On the Fence with your host, Drew Grunwald. It's heard every Sunday at 9 a.m. on KFNN 1510 a.m. and 105.3 FM, or download wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. You can also go to the website, www.arizonadecides2024.com. That's arizonadecides2024.com. Thank you so much, and we'll be back next week with a new episode.